All right, we're here with the second video of the day. We're going to talk a bit about the election, debate, rallies, kind of all the stuff going on. First, we got Joe Biden lashes out at CBS reporter for asking about Hunter Biden emails. He says he has no response. He called it a smear campaign. He kind of yelled at the CBS journalist, and as soon as anything scrupulous comes out about him and anyone tries to ask him anything, he just snaps, man. He just goes off like a little snapping turtle. He just goes off on people. It doesn't matter who they are, what kind of journalist they are, from whatever company they come from. He will just snap at them like nobody's business, like right away. You cannot say anything negative to Joe Biden. Otherwise, he will go off on you. Call you a smear campaign and fake news. Sorry. So we got Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden refused to explicitly respond to the bombshell emails obtained by the New York Post, allegedly a direct link between the then vice president and his son, Hunter's lucrative business dealings with Ukrainian gas conglomerate Burisma. When Biden was leaving Michigan Friday night, CBS reporter Bo Erickson asked him about the story, claiming Hunter introduced Vadim Pozharsky, an advisor to Burisma, to then VP Biden, who was in charge of U.S. policy towards Ukraine in 2015. Yeah, we know now that there are actual photos that show Biden with a Burisma, top Burisma brass, and he met with them even before he got the prosecutor fired for Ukraine and did the quid pro quo. So it's, you got a lot of evidence stacked against you there, Joe Biden. And, boy, I can see why you're getting so antsy at reporters, because any little bit that comes out, just any tiny little bit that comes out, is just a hard negative against you. And a lot of this is starting to become verified now, so it's starting to look really, really bad for you. Well, anyways, let's move on to see what kind of policies that Joe Biden is trying to do. So we got Joe Biden's gun agenda could cost AR-15 owners $3.6 billion in taxes for guns they already own. Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden's proposed gun control policy includes a provision that could require every AR-15 rifle be registered under the National Firearms Act of 1934, unless there were some form of carve-out. This could mandate that American gun owners pay a $200 federal tax per AR-15 that they own. The National Rifle Association's Andrew, not even going to try, there's way too many A's in your name. Moving on, told Breitbart News that the current low-end estimate of privately owned AR-15s in the United States is 18 million. A tax of $200 on 18 million AR-15s means that gun owners could potentially be required to pay a collective $3.6 billion in taxes if this policy were enacted into legislation. Now, gun owners, do you want to pay $215 for a gun that you already have owned? You already own, and that you've probably owned for, I don't know, years, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and now you got to pay a $200 tax on it? And watch, that'll end up probably being every single year under Biden, just to own your guns. That seems a little outrageous now, doesn't it? That figure does not even consider other guns that might be deemed assault weapons by Democrats, which could also fall under the same provisions of the National Firearms Act. In addition to the $200 tax, owners of guns that are deemed assault weapons under Biden's view, the NFA, could also be required to register these weapons with federal authorities, submit their fingerprints and photograph, and potentially submit to an FBI background check. All this is detailed on Biden's campaign website, which states in bullet point form, emphasis in original. Regulate possession of existing assault weapons under the National Firearms Act. Currently, the National Firearms Act requires individuals possessing machine guns, silencers, and short-barreled rifles to undergo a background check and register those weapons with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Due to these requirements, such weapons are rarely used in crimes, as President Biden will pursue legislation to regulate possession of existing assault weapons under the National Firearms Act. If such weapons are rarely used in crimes, then why regulate it to such an extreme to where everybody has to pay $200 in tax per gun that is deemed an assault weapon? What if every single gun ends up being deemed an assault weapon underneath you? Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Every single gun will end up being. What if just a random 9mm pistol ends up being called an assault weapon? Because, you know what? They're just trying to take your guns away or make you pay a super heavy fine on top of it just for having your gun. Or if you even try to brandish your gun, they'll arrest you. We've already seen that already. We've seen these mobs of Black Lives Matter calling to abolish the police and then calling the same police to arrest someone in their own home for trying to defend themselves when a mob descends upon their property. Moving on, we got, apparently now that Joe Biden has to sleep every day at about 9:15, Obama is to hit the campaign trail in Battleground, Pennsylvania for Joe Biden. Because literally, Joe Biden can't do his own work. He can't maintain his own campaign. This month already, he's spent half of the time in a nap. He's called it a day. As soon as the Hunter Biden info came out, he called it a day. As soon as that info dropped, he was done. Completely done, because they knew they had to do damage control. They knew they were screwed. And now Obama has to come out of the woodworks to try to protect him. So then we got Donald. Let's move on to Donald Trump now, because it gets a little infuriating talking about Biden and Obama and all the corruption and the crap. So we got Donald Trump in Georgia, lock up the Bidens. That was being chanted during the rally. They're just saying, lock them up, lock them up. Says from Trump, but they thought it was very unfair that Sleepy Joe, who cannot answer a question, he really can't answer a question. Well, Chris Wallace protected him with me. I talked about the Moscow $3.5 million payment. I talked about the $1 billion with China. Chris Wallace wouldn't let that. He said, no, that's not appropriate. Why? You mean the guy's allowed to take $3.5 million and we're not allowed to talk to him about it? I'm telling you, that Biden family and others, but that Biden family is corrupt. It's a corrupt family. Lock them up, says the crowd. Trump, and with me and my kids, let me tell you, my kids, I'll tell you something. Ha ha ha. Lock them up. You should lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary. Lock them up. Can you imagine if my kids did what this guy Hunter is doing? And then that's what the left is trying to claim. The left just, they want to be like, oh yeah, Trump's kids were doing the same thing. It's like, well, one, we don't actually have that evidence yet. So we actually have verified evidence that Hunter Biden was doing this, and that Joe Biden was taking half of Hunter Biden's salary from probably all of these business dealings. So that pretty much explains why Joe Biden is massively rich with millions of dollars. Especially when you don't make that much as a senator or even a vice president, even after all this time, with bills and everything and house, all the house payments and all that you got to do. I don't think your entire political career can give you that much. And a book deal, I'm sorry, Joe, but who's buying your books? Amazon, they buying up 10,000? Is it just all these companies that end up buying all these books and that's how you guys make your millions? And then it's on the companies to try to make this cash back? Because no one's buying your crap. Because no one wants to listen to you. Like, who really buys these books anymore? Like, seriously, from all of these career political puppets, I guess, who is really buying these books? Even from anybody who is buying these books. It just confounds me. We got the Biden family as a criminal enterprise. Donald Trump says Joe Biden should be jailed and boasts he's leading in early voting as Michigan crowd calls for Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who was almost kidnapped, to be locked up. Yeah, well, you know, Gretchen Whitmer has many issues, especially with her state, on why everybody hates her. Absolutely everybody. And she's trying to then just blame it all on Trump. It's like, oh, they tried to kidnap me because it's all your fault, even though these are even left-wing people that tried to kidnap you, because maybe you're the problem, lady. Maybe you're the authoritarian that's just shutting down absolutely everybody that tries to go against you. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's just you. We got then Donald Trump complains to Wisconsin crowd that the final debate moderator, Kristen Welker, will be extraordinarily unfair as he's set to meet Joe Biden on the debate stage a final time. President Donald Trump started setting the table to claim the final president debate will be unfair. President Donald Trump started setting the table to claim that the final presidential debate will be unfair, attacking moderator Kristen Welker during his Saturday night rally in Janesville, Wisconsin. I've known her for a long time. She's extraordinarily unfair, but that's all right. The president complained to the crowd. She deleted her entire account. I wonder why. I can't imagine. She did delete her entire account. She deactivated it, I guess, after, Steve Scully. And then she reinstated it a little bit later. Welker briefly deactivated her Twitter account Friday on the heels of C-SPAN Steve Scully, who was supposed to moderate the canceled second presidential debate, being put on administrative leave after he lied about a tweet sent to Trump critic Anthony Scaramucci asking for advice. So the third moderator is just going to be a hack fraud at this point, and I guess Trump is going to chill out a bit. That's apparently what he's saying, what his campaign is saying. He's going to chill out for the third debate. That's kind of the smart move to make. You got to let Biden talk, because he's just going to gaff it up. He's going to rant. He's going to make up random stories that have nothing to do with the question, and he's going to completely look like a fool by himself. That's kind of what Trump needs to do in order to win. And if Trump wants to lose, he just do what you did on the first debate, because that was awful. I'll leave it there. We have one more video coming up in a bit. I will see you then.